Well, the question is, how far can you go in criticizing the war before it hurts the troops in the field that are fighting for our country? Joining us now from Philadelphia, Dr. Marc Lamont Hill. He's an American Studies professor at Temple, and from Washington, Fox News military analyst Captain Chuck Nash. Doctor, did Rosie go too far? I mean, was her rhetoric such that it began to hurt the troops in the field?
Absolutely. The only thing that hurts the troops in the field is our president's insistence on sustaining a war and prosecuting a war that is unjust, unfair, and probably unwinnable. The issue here for Rosie O'Donnell is whether or not her rhetoric hurts the troops, whether or not her rhetoric is over the top. And my answer is no, because as a commentator, it's her job to raise these questions. She didn't say the troops were terrorists. She said that she implied that we need to consider the role that the United States plays as an occupying force in a territory that leads to the bloodshed of innocent people. That's a fair question that we need to confront as an American public and as a government.
Well, let's get your take on this, Captain. I mean, what Rosie said in her statement was, if the richest country in the world invaded your country and killed 655 of your citizens, wouldn't you call them terrorists? I mean, that to me was right on the edge. What's your take on it?
Well, there have been a lot of people, not just Rosie, but people up on Capitol Hill making very irresponsible statements while the country is at war. And although I agree with Dr. Hill that commentators can bring things out, Rosie and many others are not allowing facts to get in the way of their position. And in fact, they're making up numbers and throwing things around wildly. And if you have to make numbers up to make your point, perhaps you have no point. So I would just say that if people are going to listen to this kind of argument, not debate, argument, meaning all the emotion in it, they shouldn't take away from that argument a position and then make decisions, especially in the ballot box or with our national decision-making capability on that kind of raw emotion. We should be dealing with the facts.
I don't even think she's a commentator. I think she's an entertainer, and I think you got to be careful when you're on television in terms of what you say. You can raise issues, but the question was really, Doctor, did her rhetoric go so far as to cause pain, not just to the troops, but the families here? I'll bet if you took a poll, you'd find out it was true. But let's talk about other people that have done this.
So.
Let's talk about Jane Fonda, sitting in a gun turret in North Vietnam. Or let's talk about Cindy Sheehan, who says that these insurgents are freedom fighters. I think you'd agree they've gone too far, correct?
I think they have a right to voice an opinion. Some people have gone too far. To call insurgents freedom fighters may or may not be true, depending upon the context.
Right, to sit in a gun turret. I take it you would say that Jane Fonda. Let me just ask a question about Jane Fonda. You would agree Jane Fonda should never have sat in that gun turret, correct?
No, I don't agree with that. But the point that I'm making here is that these people are not merely representing their own ideas. These people are representing the sentiments of everyday American people who are against this war. The overwhelming majority of American people do not believe in this war. And whether or not,
Doctor, the overwhelming majority of people may not like the war, but they love the troops, and that's the criticism here.
They absolutely love the troops.
Right.
And when Rosie O'Donnell is listing the number of troops who have died, she is not exhibiting a lack of love for the troops. If anything, she's exhibiting an extraordinary amount of love, such a profound sense of love that she wants them to return home, and she wants the United States president to stop prosecuting this unwinnable war. That's the point here. And whether or not the numbers are 600,000 or 400,000 or 5,000, the number of troops does not the success or lack of success of this war is a hinge upon the numbers.
But Doctor, look, and Captain, here's my point. You can criticize the war without getting into calling our people names, like calling insurgents freedom fighters or sitting in a gun turret in North Vietnam, or somehow implying that U.S. activities border on terrorism. I mean, what impact does that have on troops and on families, Captain? What impact does it have?
Well, I think it has a negative impact because what you have is public figures denigrating what is a very honorable thing, which is the nation called these young men and women to go forward. It was our national policy. It is our national policy. They went forward at great peril to themselves, and they went so willingly. And then to have people first denigrate the institution of the military and then start to focus in on the individuals. Now we're going the same way that things went back in the Vietnam era when all of a sudden the troops became baby killers.
Captain, how do you oppose the war? Let me ask you, how do you oppose the war and not undercut the troops? Because what the doctor's saying is he doesn't like the war, he likes the troops. What's the right way to handle that?
I think what you do is you express it at the ballot box, you express it to your congressional and Senate leaders, you contact those people. You don't go on the air and denigrate people who are in harm's way.
Well, it's a tough issue because there are people against the war like the doctor, but not against the troops. It's really a very sensitive situation. You got to watch your words.
Innocent Iraqis are also in harm's way.
Doctor, we're out of time. I'm sorry about that. I wish we had more. Guys, thanks for being with us.